He's joining us now. Brett, how we doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
It's a lot of armchair therapy, Brett, as you can imagine. As we, the backup quarterback is always the most popular person. So we have the fan base and media has taken this every which way but loose between TJ and Dylan. It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, it helps to start out with a debut victory. It helps to start out with four straight scoring drives to start your career. That's pretty solid. And yeah, I thought he played pretty well. A very effective passing, 13 for 15. It was really the Emmett Johnson show, though, the workhorse running back, and he took over the Power Four rushing champ lead right now. So heck of a season by him. And defense was timely when they needed it. So a great team win there. Nebraska really needed to bounce back and get that W. So yeah, but yeah, of course you're going to have those calls all week now with talking about the quarterback spot, and,
Let,
credit to Latif for putting his name in the hat.
let me ask you something. If you don't count victory formations, which you always want to be able to do, Nebraska, in essence, had 50 plays,
Mhm.
28 points, the drive success rate. What kind of efficiency how would you categorize that kind of offensive efficiency in points per play?
Yeah, seriously, because a lot of times games are going way more snaps than that for the offense. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
just
60.
54 snaps. And again, if you don't count victory formation or killing it at the half, 50 plays.
Yeah, so 28 points off of 50 plays, that's over a point 0.5 points per play. That would be top 25 caliber right there. So Nebraska on the season is point 0.5 points per play, and that's 25th. So they're above their average last week against UCLA. So yeah, I mean per play, very efficient. The offensive line run push, that's also a per play metric I have, top 40, and the touchdown to pick ratio, top 20. So I like to look at a lot of these stats per play, like you said, to account for pace. So yeah, very efficient performance Saturday.
Mm.
Mm. Brett, as you, I want to talk about Emmett Johnson here real quick because it seems like he's been lost a little bit until Matt Rule brought him up quite a bit yesterday in this whole backup quarterback talk. You mentioned he took over the Power Four lead in rushing this past week. When you're looking at things like first team All Big Ten running back or Doak Walker finalist or first team All American, like where does he stack up in your mind in those categories?
Yeah. Well, a couple key weeks still to go, but I think if you're looking at the Big Ten, you have him along with the Michigan running backs. That'd be the top of my list right now. Antoine Raymond at Rutgers just put up a huge game. I think it was
Quietly.
200, yeah, like 240 yards. I think it was the third biggest game of the year by any Power Four back. But no, the consistency from Johnson over the course of the year, 11 touchdowns already. It's more than one per game. Pretty high average per carry, 5.6. So if you're looking at an all Big Ten, I think you'd look at the Michigan guys and Emmett Johnson. Now, if you go national, start to look at All American talk and all of that. If you're looking at the rushing champs, you got Johnson's number one, Ahmad Hardy from Missouri number two, and Jeremiah Love is ascending right now. He was great last year, obviously, and maybe a slower start to the season, but he's really coming on strong. So yeah, plenty of candidates. Maybe even Cameron Dickey. I got to see him this weekend at Texas Tech. I was down there live, and he's a tough runner, pass game and run game. So yeah, there's plenty of candidates, and Emmett Johnson's certainly in the mix.
It's interesting. I want to go back. I want to go to Love here for a second, just because you and I talked about this a week ago, and after we got off the phone with you, I was like, why did I keep focusing on November 15th games with him? But um, this is on full display, and this is in spite of Narduzzi's weird comments about is this game must win, and Notre Dame's not in the ACC, and they need to win the next two. He's kind of curmudgeonly at his pressers anyway. But how important on the national scale do you think a game like this is for a guy like Love?
Yeah, it's huge because Notre Dame has been a little bit out of the national spotlight since those opening two. I think a lot of the public watched them the first 2 weeks when they lost to Miami, lost to A&M, and in the background, quietly, they've been just destroying every team in their path. And that's really when Jeremiah Love has heated up in the rushing category. I mean, 100-yard games against Purdue, Boise, a 200-yard game against USC, another 150-yard game against BC. So he's really heating up. And this is where, in crunch time, a ranked matchup, a college game day matchup, he's got to really show out if he wants to make All-American and be in this Heisman race. And he's got a good case for it, but these are the important ones. These are the ones that you remember, the ranked matchups.
I want to kind of talk about some guys that haven't necessarily performed well this season. DB asked me an interesting question, and I'll put a little twist on it. What would have surprised you the most this year? Having DJ Lagway be benched, having Garrett Nussmeier be benched, or just the underwhelming nature of Arch Manning in general?
I think the most shocking there would have to be Nussmeier being benched, because you have a multi-year starter, a really veteran guy, a guy that was talked out of going pro to return to LSU and make this championship run. So it seemed like he was the veteran, the team leader kind of guy. So to see him get benched last week against Alabama, that was shocking. A guy like DJ Lagway, I had high expectations too. But again, that was only based off a handful of starts as a true freshman in 2024. So, and an injury lingering all offseason, all spring. So if you had told me that wouldn't have worked out, I could maybe have rationalized and thought about maybe an injury or just a young guy. But the Nussmeier deal, that is shocking, the way that they have regressed on offense this year. And Arch, the jury's still out a little bit. I know he really struggled in September. But when you look at it now and the dust has settled, they're 8-2. They're firmly in the race there for a playoff spot. And he's got 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. It seems like he's improved since September. Now, I would say Nussmeier is the most shocking.
So we've had some coaches, kind of be asked about the coaching carousel, and we get great quotes from Power 5 head coaches like Steve Sarkisian that say, "Who are you going to hire?" Are you surprised that coaches in that position are so candid about kind of what we all think? Sark just said it. Who are you going to hire?
Yeah, it is shocking to see, some of these comments, because even just a couple of years ago, everyone was so guarded with their answers. We called it coach speak, very almost like politicians, the way they would answer all the questions perfectly. And then some guys like Lane Kiffin have started to shake it up a little bit and be, kind of funny, kind of a troll. But personalities like that, we love to have in college football. And yeah, so Sark just being candid there. It's true, though, because there's so many open seats now on the carousel. You got, 10 Power 4 jobs open? And a lot of the guys they're going to go after are still coaching, and they're going to be coaching into the playoff into January. So it presents a really tough logistical problem here. I know that Cignetti signed the extension, but use him as an example. Say you wanted to hire him and he was playing late into January. How's that going to work? I mean, they lose out on the recruiting cycle. Even that transfer cycle will be closing up. So I don't know logistically and timing-wise how they're going to all figure this out.
So, Brett, as you're kind of looking through, you see Indiana struggle with a game Penn State team last week. We've seen Georgia struggle. Maybe Ohio State looks like the best team in the country. Where does the line for you get drawn as far as how many teams can win a national championship?
That's a great question. I think I could get behind 6 different teams. I'll give you them. I think Ohio State right now is number 1 by far. I think that they are fully developed on both sides of the ball, playing perfect football. That's my number 1. Indiana, I have number 2. They have destroyed everybody all season up until the Iowa game. They won by 5, and then this gut check out in State College. And you got to credit them for surviving and winning. It is still college football. So that's my top 2. I'd go A&M 3. I mean, yet again, another undefeated team. They seem to have a dynamic offense and Mike Elko's defense. I would go Texas Tech number 4. And I know that they are nowhere near that in the polls, but I've followed them all season. And I got to see
they bullied BYU. I was talking to Coach, like we were just having this conversation in Los Angeles, Brett. Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
I was he was shocked at how physically imposing Texas Tech was against a physical BYU team.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to see it live there in Lubbock, and this defense is for real. This defense is national champion caliber, really. You got Jacob Rodriguez making a Heisman push at linebacker, David Bailey, another All-American on the defensive line. He's the nation's sack leader. Just a really aggressive defense. Yeah, they shut BYU out off the scoreboard until a few minutes left in the game. So, pair that with a solid offense and passing attack. I think Texas Tech, the way they've destroyed almost everybody on their schedule, I'd have them number 4. Bama 5, just the way they continue to grind out these ranked SEC wins. It's a gauntlet, and they just seem to continue to win and survive. So that'd be my top 5. I think that those 5 can go the distance. I'll also throw Georgia in there just because I know that the talent and the depth they have, because that's the name of the game in these long playoff brackets is 5-star depth, because you're going to go through injuries. You're going to be exhausted after 3-4 of these games. So they have the depth to go the distance. So those would be my 6 real championship contenders.
So what do you make of how did you come out convinced or I'm sorry, what were your takeaways watching Oregon and Iowa? Iowa, just what they are. Oregon, gutty. I mean, Oregon was playing with about 65% of their offensive firepower and still won. Testament to Iowa where they are, or Oregon just game?
No, I think Iowa earned some respect there. I mean, this is a top 10 opponent coming in, and actually, if you think about styles of play and tempos of the game, they got Oregon to play Iowa's game. That they made that an Iowa football game, and I earned a lot of respect for that offense and Gronowski on that final drive that they had. It looked at the time like it'd be the game winner, and he took them 93 yards, had that 4th and goal. A quarterback power up the middle for what I thought was at the time the game-winning touchdown. And then you got to tip your hat to Dante Moore, just matching that drive with one of his own.
He had been awful.
Yep, he struggled. It was wet. It was cold. It was Big Ten weather, as they say. But in crunch time, he had that perfect shot, that perfect pass, pinpointed right in the receiver's arms on the sideline to go set up the game-winning field goal. So, it's hard to say, but I kind of leave respecting both. I think Iowa's really a solid team, definitely a top 20 type team. And then Oregon continues to be a playoff caliber team.
I always like to ask you a couple times a week the proverbial, are they good? A couple of teams that control their own destiny. I'm going to ask you. I'll give you 3 in a row. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Is Ole Miss good?
Yeah, I think so. They're explosive. They reloaded in the transfer portal at receiver. Defense is actually playing better than I had forecasted for them this year. Top 25, both sides of the ball. Yeah, I think they're good.
Michigan controls their own destiny. Are they good?
This one I'm not so sure about. Now, I'll say, it's kind of a cop-out. I'll say their defense is good. I think their defense is one of the best 10 or 15 in the country. The offense seems to be broken to me. And if they can't establish that run, if you can neutralize the run game, they got nothing else. They have no pass game behind it. So kind of a half answer, but you got to have both to be good. So I'll say no, they're not.
They quietly are in control of their own destiny with a murder's row schedule. Oklahoma, are they good?
Yes, I think this team is very good. Their defense is right up there with Ohio State and Texas Tech for the best in the country. It's Brent Venables' calling card. He's got another good one. And the offense, when you look at some of the stats, you got to remember a couple of these games were without John Mateer or with him rehabbing and coming back slow. So I think the offense is better than you'd see on paper. And he's talented enough to create. I'm a little worried about Alabama here.
It's on the road. It's less than a touchdown. But if they upset Bama, they got Missouri and LSU at home.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they could be sitting with just 2 losses.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, with Missouri and LSU, both of those look a little bit more manageable than they did a month or 2 ago.
Especially in Norman.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, a month back, we're talking that LSU and Missouri are both near that top 10 in the country. They both lost some games since. I think I'd have Oklahoma favored in both, especially in Norman. So, yeah, and also this, you wonder, with probably the hardest schedule we've seen in college football, would a 9-3 Oklahoma get consideration? I think they'd be in the discussion. 10-2 is a lock for the playoff. 9-3, I think, would still be a discussion point for them.
All right, can I ask you one more? Sorry, Ravi.
No, go ahead.
All right, because a lot of hand-wringing and consternation to see where they were in the college football playoff poll, but their quarterback is getting hot. Texas, are they good?
This one's tough because their defense is elite. I rattle off I'll talk the top defenses. I said Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech. You got to put Texas in that discussion too. I mean, they're very dominant defensively. And if this pass game can continue to be unlocked, because you look at their last couple of performances, 45 points against Mississippi State, 34 against a good Vanderbilt team.
He's starting to bowl.
Yeah, coming off the bye, and you got to go at Georgia, but Georgia, they're in 1-score games all season. So, this is a toss-up to me, and I would not be surprised if Texas goes in there, gets a big resume win, And I kind of secretly want it to happen because I want that November 28th game against Texas A&M, Longhorns and Aggies. I want that to be the play-in game, like the all-time of that rivalry. So we'll see. One game at a time. I think Texas is good. Yes.
Hey, so what are we gonna do with the ACC? Because you
What a
got
mess.
4 teams between 14 and 20, and I will ask you just blanket, are any of them good?
Yeah, this reminds me of the old days when we had the Atlantic and the Coastal. They used to call it Coastal Chaos to see who would come out of that weird division every year. We look at what you got, five teams with 1 loss in the conference. I think the best 2 aren't even in that pack. I think Louisville and Miami, if I had to pick, would be the 2 best in quotes. But they're both kind of eliminated from ACC title contention with those 5 1-loss teams ahead of them. So out of Georgia Tech, UVA, Pitt, SMU, and Duke, I think Pitt's the best of that bunch. Especially now they've changed quarterbacks and found Mason Heinschel taking over for Eli Holstein. They're 5-0 with the freshman as their quarterback, and their defense, their backers are disruptive, good pass rush. So I would put Pittsburgh as the best of that top 5 pack in the ACC.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Stop. I agree with Brett because I told you about Pitt last week, and you're like, nah.
That's fine if they're the best team in your conference.
I don't know. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying, like, defensively, they're lights out, man.
That's fine.
Yeah, Ravi, put it this way: if Pitt were in the SEC, what would they be? Maybe the 7th or 8th. It's.
Oh, you guys, knock it off.
I mean, I would go Big Ten because I think the SEC is overrated and a Ponzi scheme. But I'm just saying, if Pitt's the best team in your conference sucks. Like I don't know how else to put it. Like
let's give them until Saturday afternoon. I mean, this is a big opportunity for them as a program. I know what Narduzzi said, but imagine if they were to go beat Notre Dame. Now you're talking they're probably a playoff contender themselves.
I mean, if they go and beat Notre Dame, then I think Notre Dame sucks.
Hey, let me stretch you because I know how smart you are just because you do your homework. This is kind of off the radar. And listen, Jonathan Smith may be in trouble, but Penn State may have shot their shot. What did you make Penn State going to East Lansing?
Yeah, I think Penn State's still the more talented team, and you saw that. I mean, they still have a lot of NFLers on their roster. You saw that against Indiana. They really played up to the competition last Saturday. Really took Indiana to the brink. When you look at Michigan State, I can't say the same. I don't see many all-conference caliber players or any NFLers. So on pure talent, you go Penn State. Both sides coming in winless in the conference. I've been doing Pick Six previews since 2012 and obviously following college football my whole life. I never thought I'd see the day that Penn State and Michigan State would be 0-12 combined in the conference. I know that Michigan State had fluctuated over the years, but it's just crazy. So I'm going to go Penn State to win here by about a touchdown. That seems to be a safe pick. I'm going to go on talent alone. And so I'll go Penn State.
I'm locked and loaded at 2:30. Because it's an iconic game. I usually would just see it in the Rose Bowl, but it's in the Big Ten Conference. Iowa travels to Los Angeles. 2 contrasting styles. Coach Parker, really, really smart with understanding the dynamics in the run game. Lincoln Riley, brilliant in the run game. I thought 6.5 was light. Mm-hmm. What do you like with Iowa going to Southern Cal?
Well, line projection wise, I agree with you. I've got USC by 8.5, so that's over that key number, and so I'll go with USC here. Matchup wise, I can't wait to see the USC passing game against the Iowa pass defense. You could argue they're maybe some of the best in both their categories there. Definitely a strength on strength. Maybe the game is decided on the opposite when Iowa's got the ball because USC's defense has struggled at times. They're very aggressive. They're top 10 in negative play rate. They're going to blitz a ton, but then they're overexposed on the backside on long yardage plays. You know, they struggle against explosives. So can Iowa get explosive plays? They had a couple against Oregon. Really a fascinating matchup. You're talking styles. Iowa, one of the slowest paces in the country. USC, a fast pace and that spread offense. So, and you think of a situation here too. Iowa coming off a brutal, emotional loss, a big home national spotlight game, having to fly to LA. Meanwhile, USC has the extra rest day. They're staying at home, no travel. So all that factors in. I'm going to go USC by 8 or 9 points.
Gotcha.
Couple other big matchups this weekend: Oklahoma and Alabama. You mentioned Oklahoma earlier as one of the best defenses in the country. Ty Simpson's a guy that I actually been really impressed with as a quarterback, as opposed to some of the ones we talked about earlier. They've got this one at 6.5. What'd you have this one at?
I've got it at 9 for Alabama.
Oh,
Yeah, and now this is one where I'm starting to wonder. I'm a little worried about my formula there because it's a tough spot. You got Alabama coming off a rivalry game against a really talented LSU team, and then Oklahoma off the bye. So that's a situation I hate to see. But Alabama, ever since that opening loss, they've just been an absolute machine. They've rolled through this schedule of ranked teams. This is just another day in the SEC for them. So I'm going to stick with the numbers here. I'm going to go Alabama by more than a touchdown.
Go ahead.
Speaking of sticking with the SEC here just for a second, the other super highly ranked matchup is Georgia and Texas. They've got it at 6.5. Are you closer on that one, or are you an outlier on that one too?
Yeah, well, here's one where I'm going to go against my numbers. I mean, numbers I have at Georgia by 8, but I think Texas is going to win this outright. I'm going to call this here.
Hey,
ooh,
I think that this is. I think they're trending in the right direction. They were written off for dead back in September, but I like it. And then you look at Georgia. How many more times can they survive in the fourth quarter? I mean, you look back at this.
But they're getting better. So I will say
better.
that.
I
agree
both
with
teams.
They do live on borrowed time.
For sure. And, finally they got some distance between their opponent against Mississippi State. They really played well Saturday. But Florida game, Auburn game with that fumble at the goal line, the Alabama loss, and then, of course, the Tennessee game. They've been on the edge. And so is Texas, too. I'm not going to say it both ways here. I mean, Texas really was bailed out by their special teams, their punt return game, and a couple of their wins. So, yeah, but I think this is a big statement win. I think Texas is going to go in there. So we'll see how that turns out on next Tuesday. But I'm going to go for Texas here.
The model is interesting because I look at kind of the strength on. I'm captivated by both these teams. Texas is elite up front. Quietly, I like their secondary a lot too. They got some youth, but freshmen playing well. But Georgia has added kind of this. They're starting to run it better. And Stockton gives you a running kind of influence. I'll be curious to see which quarterback gets more chunk plays with their arm. Because I bet you at the end of the day, it will be the big plays via the air that decide this one. It just seems that way.
Yeah. It very well could be. If you're looking at explosive passing, Texas is in the top 40. Georgia's around 60th, so about even, maybe a slight edge to Texas in the explosive pass. But when you look at explosive pass defense, Texas better at defending it than Georgia too. So if you're looking just going to hone in on the long yardage pass game, I think Texas on both sides has it. Run game, I agree with you. Georgia has it there. Especially with Frazier emerging.
I think Frazier's way better than his stats, and I know he had the breakout game last week. But I'm a Frazier guy. He's a
you've been on him for a couple weeks, so you're that stock's going to pay off. It's going to pay dividends for you. I think he's going to have a big game. But yeah, again, it's just all the talent on the field here. Top 5 recruiters, both of them. A lot of people thought this would be the SEC title game coming into the season, so I can't wait to watch this one. It's going to be a big one.
That is.
Can I ask you
one more?
quick? Yeah, let me ask you quick. Brett, real quick. Where do you think? What does a guy like DJ Lagway need for a landing spot?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just a fresh start. Again, we forget because it's college football. He's so young in his career. I mean, he's a second-year player in college. So, and one of that, the entire full offseason was with an injury. So, I'm excited to see where he will end up, whether it's stays in Gainesville or somewhere else, and see what a full offseason can do, because that's so pivotal at that point in your career as a young guy. So he still has a bright future. I'm convinced.
Is Mendoza the first quarterback off the board for you?
Oh, I haven't even thought about draft stock, but he's really well under the pressure there, really clutch. Yeah, I'll go with him for now. I was about to say Julian Sion, but he's not even eligible. So
I was gonna say.
He's still got years to go. Yeah, Mendoza's up there.
Simpson.
Yeah, Ty Simpson.
Simpson's older than we think because he waited his turn.
He did, but he's been pretty good.
He's like a 6-year guy there, 5th-year guy. Yeah, you know what? I haven't even thought about the pros yet. I'm so into this every Saturday deal, but there's plenty of time for a draft talk. I can't wait to get there.
Next week.
Right.
I'm going to ask you about quarterbacks, and then guys like Reed and Saint. Like, I want to ask you about like projection because 2026 looks a little 2027
Could be thick.
might be interesting.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I'm looking at all these names. They're all not even eligible for this year. So it's going to be a big draft class the next year.
That is our guy, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews. Brett, appreciate the time as always.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
All right, buddy.
That is Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews.